We are just about a week into free agency, and the Titans were very quiet on day one, but day 2, 3, 4, 5, they were going at it. Multiple free agency signings. A lot of them I really like, a lot of them I really don't like. So that's what we're going to get on for today's show. But before we do that, go ahead and grade the Titans free agency signings. A, B, C, D, or F. You let me know what you think, and we can get started with today's video. Welcome into Titans Today. I am your host, Brett Alper, and like I said in that cold open, we are grading the Titans free agency signings, 7 of them to be exact, and I like a lot of them, but I also don't like a couple of them. 7 breaking down, and the first one we're going to start with is with a guy that I like to call Dan Moore Jr. Left tackle, coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And when I first saw this was their first big free agency signing. And I saw this and I was like, what are the Titans doing? Because the big thing that I saw was, you can see, $82 million and 50 burger, 50 guaranteed. Now, Dan Moore, solid offensive tackle. You're signing him, and now you can move J.C. Latham to right tackle, where that's his preferred position. Dan Moore's only 26 years old, but if we start to look at his stats, I mean, he's a tank, 6'5", 315. But if you see that stat, 17 games played, but 12 allowed sacks. That's one of the highest in the National Football League. And when you're playing left tackle and you're that new quarterback's blind side, 12 sacks is a ton. If you look at his PFF grades, I mean, somewhat solid. 67.2 overall, 66.2 pass grade, 61 run grade, but that 12 sacks allowed and 5 penalties. Now, are you really wanting to sign a guy for $80 million, 50 guaranteed? He's 26. He's still going up. He's not near that late 20s, early 30s. I don't mind it. I don't mind this signing, but just $80 million. I'm going to give this grade a B-. You are stacking up the offensive line, and you're getting ready for that quarterback, which we can get into later today. We're going to get into it later today's show, but B-. So I'm going to ask you guys, are you happy with the Moore signing? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm happy, but I'm not happy with the money. But hopefully this will work out for the Titans. Now, the next signing we're going into, we're staying with the offensive line, and we're going with Kevin Zeitler. And this offensive guard, I actually really like this one. He was playing guard for the Lions last season, and we know how good that offensive line was. I mean, they had the two-headed monster Sonic and Knuckles with David Montgomery and Gibbs, but Jared Goff, one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year, and you're only signing him for 1 year, $9 million contract. Yeah, he's 35 years old, but offensive linemen, if they're keep going good, I mean, you keep playing them. You sign him to a 1-year deal, but look at his pass block rates. Look at his grades compared to Dan Moore. 86.1 overall, and that run blocking grade, 87.2. You saw with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs how good they were. And we go to his stats. 1,047 snaps. I can't even speak. That's how exciting. Only 2 penalties, 5 sacks allowed. I really like this signing for the amount of money that you're getting for Zeitler. And just the age is kind of questionable, but it's a 1-year deal. If he doesn't perform, then there you go. You're fine. You're okay. You can get rid of him. And now if we take a look at the offensive line depth chart, this offensive line is pretty solid. Dan Moore, you got Skronsky, Cushenberry at center, then you add Zeitler, and like I said earlier, J.C. Latham moving to the right tackle position. I'm going to grade this a C+, just because he's 35 years old. But if he performs, that's going to easily, and I mean easily, jump up to at least a B. So I'm really happy about that one. Now the next, we're staying with the offense, and we're going with Van Jefferson. Oh, Van Jefferson. I mean, he's not your wide receiver 1. With this team, he might be your wide receiver 2, with Burks just coming off a season-ending injury. You signed him to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. And, I mean, that's okay, But the main question I have is just why didn't you re-sign Nick Westbrook-Ikhine? You pretty much, he went to Miami for a little bit more money, but you can shell out the money for him. He had a career year, and you look at Jefferson's stats, he didn't have that great of a year. 24 catches, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's giving you consistency when he's not getting injured, except for that 2022 season. But 2021 was when the Rams won the Super Bowl, and that's where he was. He's coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers. But why would you sign Van Jefferson when you have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine? It doesn't make much sense to me. It really doesn't. You need to get a better wide receiver. You have to get a better wide receiver because you can't go into 2025. Calvin Ridley, great, number 1, but he's going to be your number 2. Him or Treylon Burks? The quarterback can only do so much on the field. I'm giving this one a D+. Because you're not going to get much production out of Van Jefferson. He's getting up there in age too. So D+, you at least have to find a wide receiver in the draft. Now, before we get into the last 4 signings, we got to tell you about our sponsor of today's show, and that's Fanatics. You can get up to 60% off on some Titans hoodies. It's hot today. It's hot in Dallas. It's about 75 degrees. Chatsports.com/Titans hoodie. It's the SEC tournament out in Nashville, out in Bridgestone Arena. I know it's cold in there. I've been there for a Predators game. It's cold in there. You might need a hoodie, and what better to rep the Titans? You can get your hoodies. Chatsports.com/Titans hoodies. It's a great conversation starter. I love it. If you guys don't want to type it out, chatsports.com/Titans hoodies. We'll put it in the comments of today's video. Now let's keep it going. Back on the defense, Cody Barton, linebacker. And this is the signing I really, really like. He's coming from Denver, and he had pretty much a career year. And you're only paying about $7 million for Cody Barton. $7 million, and the production that he is giving you is absolutely great. I mean, if you look at his stats from last season, he had over 100 tackles. This is a ball magnet when you have him on the defensive end. Love the linebacker. You traded Kenneth Walker Jr., and you're bringing this guy in for less money. He's only 28 years old. He's not reached that past 30 age, and he's just been consistent. I mean, look at his last 3 seasons. 100 tackles, 100 tackles, 100 tackles. 5 pass breakups. He can either find the ball or drop back into coverage, and he's a great coverage linebacker. I really, really enjoy this signing for the Titans. It seems like Mike Borgonzi kind of made an emphasis on 2 things, the offensive line and then the defense, because we're going to get into some of these other signings that they have, and it's really, they've put an emphasis and they're getting ready, which I think, to draft a quarterback, which we'll get into. But I'm going to give this grade a B+ for Cody Barton. I mean, 100 tackles. I can't complain about that one. The next one, safety, Xavier Woods, coming from Carolina. And as I said, they are really emphasizing the defense. You're only getting him on a 2-year, $10 million contract. And he's also coming off a career year in Carolina. I think he had just over 100 tackles. And he has been consistent throughout his career. Yeah, 119 tackles, 2 tackles for losses as a safety, 6 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. I really like this signing. I mean, he is just perfect in single high coverage. I mean, 72 solo stops for Xavier Woods. Now the risk, there still really isn't any risks. I mean, you have $5 million a year for 2 years. That's all you have. He was 119 tackles. This man is a ball hawk. He's your hard-hitting safety, and that's what this Titans defense needs. You need that just a hard-nosed safety to go in that secondary. I'm giving this one a B+. 2 years, $10 million for a guy that has gotten 100 tackles a lot of the years of his career. Yeah, I really like this signing, and this defense is going places. Going back to the defensive line, Dre'Mont Jones, the defensive lineman, or you could call him a linebacker. It's kind of that edge rush hybrid that the NFL has now. He's coming from Seattle, and he's going on a 1-year, $10 million contract. He's only 28 years old, but he's He had probably his worst season. He had a career low besides his rookie year in sacks with only 4. But the Seattle was kind of they put this guy on the interior. If we look at him when he was playing in Denver, you see that 13 games played, 16 games played, 21 and 22. 6.5 sacks, 5.5 sacks. He was playing on the outside in Denver, and then they put him in the interior in Seattle, which I don't understand. If we're going to take a look at the Titans defensive line depth chart, the Titans it would just make sense to move him back on the outside with Jeffrey Simmons, Devondre Sweat, and they re-signed Sebastian Joseph-Day, which is a great re-signing. Only a 1-year deal. But this defensive line, now you're putting Dre'Mont Jones on the outside, Sebastian Joseph-Day on the other side, you're going to have a great pass rush, and I think Dre'Mont Jones, a new system that he plays in, a new fresh start in Tennessee, he's going to be able to revitalize his career playing on the outside unlike it. So I'm going to grade this one in A, because I still think he has some left in the tank. Only 28 years old. Only 28 years old. Now, our last signing that we're getting into, and you're probably like, Brett, come on. Brandon Allen? Yeah, we're going to go over this one. We're going to go over this one. He signed a 1-year deal. The contract, I don't think it's been released yet. I was looking for the contract details. Not 100% sure, but only a 1-year deal. Backup quarterback. 2024, 56.7 completion percentage, only 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He's not been, productive. He's a backup. That's what you're getting. He didn't play in 2023. Wasn't because of injury, but just because he was a backup. Veteran leadership is what you're getting. 2021, 50% completion. 2022, he didn't have an incomplete pass. He played 1 game. But there's one specific reason why I really, really like this signing. Now, the Titans, before free agency started, they said they maybe could go for a veteran quarterback to start. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are still available. They didn't try to go get Sam Darnold. They didn't try to go get Mac Jones. They didn't try to go get any veteran starting quarterback. And why is that? Because I think that they know deep down that they are going to draft Cam Ward. And that's why I am giving this signing an absolute, and I mean absolute, A+. It doesn't mean anything. He's not going to see the field. You're not going to go into 2025 with Brandon Allen as your starting quarterback, obviously. They gave up on Will Levis. But this signing speaks volume that the Titans are going to take a quarterback in the 2025 NFL Draft, which presumably is assuming that it's going to be Cam Ward. They are getting ready. They know that they're going to draft a quarterback because you don't sign a backup like that, like Brandon Allen, if you don't know what you're going to do in the NFL Draft. That's what I think, and that's why I'm giving this an A+, because what is the number one thing the Titans need in the offseason? And that's a quarterback, and I think that that's what they're going for in the first round with the first pick of the NFL Draft. So what do you guys think? Do you think do you think the Brandon Allen signing means that they're going to draft a quarterback? You let me know down in the comments. Type D for draft or type P for pass. Went over all the free agency signings, and they're not going to end just now. They're not going to end just after 1 week. It's going to keep going and going and going. We're less than 6 weeks until the NFL Draft. I'm excited, and if you're ready, if you want all the Titans coverage, hit that big red sub button, youtube.com/Titans today. And as always, tighten up.